Welcome gamers to this week's vlog. It's been a little bit more of a casual week for me this week, so I've got some more work done on the games room, which is progressing nicely, and managed to play a fair few games. So without further ado, let's have a look at the games I've played and what trophies I've been earning this week. The first game played this week is called The Swapper, which is a 100% game with no platinum. It's a puzzle platform game where you play as a scavenger who is stranded aboard an abandoned research space station that's orbiting an undefined planet. After discovering a strange handheld device that gives the ability to create 4 simultaneous clones of herself and then be able to swap her consciousness between these clones, you then use the device to solve the various puzzles and progress the very intricate story so as to discover what happened to the research station and all its inhabitants, along with finding a means of escape. The trophy list is pretty simple, with each trophy linked to finding one of 10 different but extremely well hidden terminals that elaborate a bit more on the details of the story. The puzzles are pretty fun to try and work out and feel very rewarding when you do. However, the trophy terminals are so well hidden that if you miss any, you'll most likely need to refer to a guide to be able to find all of their locations. I really enjoyed playing this game and I highly recommend it. The next game I played this week, which was also the first platinum I earned, is called O Ascension. This is a race against the clock, everything you touch will kill you style of arcade game. The simple gameplay is to guide your small spaceship as fast as possible around 9 different sectors that each contain 10 individual levels in the form of a small globe that is filled with various mazes, traps and other types of hazards that you need to try and avoid. Each sector introduces some new kind of mechanic, with each level becoming increasingly more difficult. The goal of the game is to earn the illustrious O award, which is given for completing each level within a set time frame. Gameplay is very fast paced and requires a high level of hand-eye coordination and precision to be able to meet the very tight time limits. The trophy list is extremely simple, with a trophy given for completing each sector, along with the miscellaneous trophies for travelling set distances, crashing set number of times, along with attaining the O rating for every level. I had a really fun time with this game and can recommend it as a game to play when you feel like just dipping in and out of a game every now and then, and it's one that can easily be played while listening to a podcast, for example. Some of the levels provide quite a challenge to be able to earn that O rating, but if you persevere so as to build up some muscle memory, you can easily get into a groove and start flying through the levels. I was also really pleased to see that I'm actually only the 20th person to earn the platinum. And also, PSN Profile shows 85 game owners, so I feel this is a game that's perhaps a bit of a hidden gem, as it's very simple to play, provides a nice challenge and is great fun, so why not consider giving it a go. The next game I played this week is called Islanders and was my second platinum of the week. It is a casual city building game where you're presented with small procedurally generated islands that have a variety of different styles and looks about them that can restrict the placement of certain buildings. The gameplay evolves around being given a certain amount of buildings relating to a specific business or theme, for example farming, fishing, mining, forestry, along with placing various habitable buildings to create different types of districts. Each turn, so to speak, you're given a specific amount of buildings, and the goal is to strategically place them to be able to maximise the amount of points they will earn you. If you run out of buildings to place before reaching the next target score, then it will be game over. However, after a certain amount of buildings have been placed, as you start to run out of available room on the island, then you get the option to be able to move to a bigger island to keep progressing and earning even higher score. Also, every turn you get given a new pack of buildings that give you a bigger variety of buildings to be able to place, and each turn you're randomly assigned a variety of different buildings out of the different packs that you've already opened. The trophy list comprises of a couple of speedrun trophies, along with the standard types of trophies for building set amounts of buildings, reaching certain islands, earning specific amounts of points. It's a game I really found fun, really had a good time with it, and is one that is actually quite chilled out and casual, so nothing too difficult, nothing too hard, and only really takes a few hours to complete and get the platinum. So again, another game that I recommend. So today is June 6th, which is of course D-Day, and part of my Ultimate Trophy Hunters challenge, I have to pop the platinum on a game that has the genre or theme of warfare. And I prepped 1111 Memories Retold in advance so that I have one fairly quick and easy trophy left to get to earn the platinum. So let's go and earn that now. So starting off, I need to go to chapter of part 2 called The Collapse, where I should be taking control of a cat, and all I have to do to earn the trophy is to purr. So I've now taken control of the cat, and I shall hold down the X button, and there we go, perfect, which should now be the platinum. And there we go, that's my D-Day platinum all done. Just a quick recap then of the trophies I've earned this week. Started the week off with the Swapper on Sunday, and I played that through Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday to finally get the 100% on the game. Then Monday evening we also had our regular co-op session for Call of Duty Zombies, and we're playing Advanced Warfare on the PS3 and managed to get the Easter egg trophy done and out the way, as well as another trophy for killing the final boss with a sniper rifle. That now leaves just one trophy remaining to get 100% on that game before we move on to our next one. Also, I got the platinum on O Ascension, and then I moved on to Islanders, where I also got the platinum. Then for D-Day, I got the platinum on 1111 Memories Retold, and that was for the Ultimate Trophy Hunters Challenge. Also had a Aliens Fireteam Elite co-op session this week. Managed to get one trophy, and also we've got the second campaign all completed on insane difficulty, so that's half the campaign's done now. We just now got campaign 3 and campaign 4. We've got three missions in each one, and then that will be all the hard trophies done and out the way on that game, and it just leaves some grinding out XP for upgrading. Also, last night I started up a sort of retro racing game called Pixel Racers, and it's just a sort of fun, quick game, and I'll go into a bit more detail on that probably next week once I have the platinum. But I earned a few trophies on that, and that's where I got to this week. This week's community questions come from Diffident Duck, and there's two questions that are sort of kind of tied in together. With the first being, what are your most treasured items from your current physical game collection? So, Diffident, it probably doesn't come as a surprise to you, the first game I'm going to show you, because if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that my most favourite game ever is Elite on the Commodore 64. So, I'm very proud to own a physical copy of this game. It means so much to me, and I've got so much nostalgia for it. Another game I'm proud to own, and this is purely because it was so difficult to track down from here in the UK, and that is Tornado Outbreak. It's a fun little game. It's a game that's a bit like the sort of Katamari games. You play as a tornado, and you've got to increase in size and strength by gathering up materials. So yeah, it was more significant because it's so hard to get hold of here in the UK. You do get odd ones come up every now and then here, but they're all in Italian, so all of the box art and everything else is all in Italian. And I wanted to get an English copy, so I had to get one from America, but I'm glad to have that in my collection. Then one of my favourite sort of gaming genres is the Soulsborne, so I'm very proud to have this Demon's Souls box set, which is the Black Phantom edition. Comes with art books, strategy guides, has the Black Phantom sort of case rather than the standard case, and also has the sort of CD of the music. Also on the same theme, the exact same thing for Dark Souls, the Dark Souls limited edition. This again has the digital art book in it, also has the CD soundtrack. So 2 that I'm very proud to have in my collection because I love the series. Another one is I do like going for subsets, so there's some sort of particularly difficult subsets to try and complete. So there's a couple that I'm really proud of that I have managed to complete. The first being the only on PlayStation, and this is the ones that have the sleeve covers, and that is these sort of rare sleeve covers that I think were originally from Game in the UK. And the reason I like these is essentially they are fantastic to look at. So you've got Bloodborne and The Last of Us. You've got Ratchet and Clank and God of War. You've got Wipeout and The Last Guardian. You've also got Shadow of the Colossus and Horizon Zero Dawn. And then lastly, you've got SpiderMan and Uncharted 4. Now, there were 2 different versions of these. One that was sold in-game, and that one had a blank cover on the back with just a logo. This here is the logo you'd have had, but there would have been nothing else around it. I have got all of my ones are the ones that were for promotional only, display purposes only, which I believe are probably rarer because shops wouldn't have had as many display ones as they would have had games to sell. That's how I think of it, but there's no way of knowing which one is more rare or not. For me, it doesn't really matter which one I would get, but I just wanted to try and get the same for all the collections, so they were all the same. I didn't want to mix and match, so I was happy to be able to sort of complete the collection by getting all of them with the back cover with the extra parts on it. So it's bits that show you all of the different screenshots of the game. As you can see from there, shows you details of the game, different screenshots of the game. So I wanted to make sure that I had the matching backs on all of them rather than a mixture of them. So I'm happy to have completed that subset. It's getting very difficult to complete that subset now, and the prices recently have just gone through the roof. I'm glad I'm not collecting it anymore because on a weekly basis the price is just going up and up for some of them. Another subset that I was really happy and proud to have completed, and that was the Classics HD subset. So if you're not aware, the original game that came out was for God of War collection, which was God of War 1 and 2, and this came out as a remastered HD. And then they decided after doing that, because it doesn't have the Classics HD thing on it, to start putting it as a collection of games. So you've got this Classics HD moniker on it. You can get the Classics HD logo on the original God of War collection, but only on the Essentials one, which is the ones with the red spine. So both of these are available in the Essentials collection, and that is the only way that you can have the Classics HD written on the original God of War collection. But happy to have both of those. There's 15 in total for the collection, so also is Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, Jak and Daxter Trilogy, Silent Hill, although my copy of the Silent Hill is the American one, so this doesn't have the Classics HD logo on it, but it is the same game. But I might look at some point to swap this out. I have a sealed copy which I'm keeping sealed, mainly because at some point I probably do want to swap it over for the UK version of it. I'm not sure which one is more expensive or not, but being that this is sealed, I'm more than happy to have an unsealed copy of the UK version because I will be playing it. So I'm hoping that I can just do a straight swap at some point, or whether I would just buy the other one and then sell this one for the same amount. I'm not looking to sort of make any price difference. I just want to just swap it out for the Classics HD. But the game is the same and everything's the same. It's just I'd like to have that logo on there. Then you've got Ratchet and Clank, the Sly Trilogy, Splinter Cell, Devil May Cry, Hitman, Metal Gear Solid, Prince of Persia, Tomb Raider, Zone of Enders, And then the grail of the subset, which is Killzone Classics HD. This was only available to get if you bought the Killzone Trilogy box set, and that's why it says on there not for resale. But it's very, very difficult to get hold of that box set, and essentially anyone that owned it essentially tended to split them out, because the other two games are worth like £1 each, whereas this can be now over £100. So what you would generally find is that these get sold individually on eBay now, and the prices have gone up a lot. So I'm glad I picked that up quite a while ago before the prices all jacked up on it. But I'm pretty sort of proud to have that whole collection. And like I say, it's only the Silent Hill that is the American version, which I'll probably swap for a UK version at some point once I have the opportunity to. Then there's a couple of other subsets I'm proud of, which are not complete, but I'm looking to complete, so I'll go over those ones now. So the first one is Godzilla. I love Godzilla games and I love the films, so I'm a big Godzilla fan. And I wanted to own all the different Godzilla games for all the different consoles that you can get it for. Starting off with my favourite, which is Godzilla Destroy All Monsters on the GameCube. Absolutely fantastic co-op fighting game, that one. For the PlayStation 2, you've got Godzilla Unleashed. This is also available on the Wii, and I do want to pick up the copy on the Wii. I believe the Wii version of it is slightly better because there's a bigger roster of characters in the Wii version, and I think it plays better on the Wii apparently. But I wanted to have the PlayStation 2 one as well to have all of the PlayStation variants. So Godzilla Unleashed. Then you've got Godzilla Save the Earth. And all of these Godzilla games are going right up in value. They're all just going through the roof. And that's just because the Godzilla franchise, obviously being a licensed one, the games eventually lose their license to be sold, and essentially they can only be bought from the second-hand market. You can't buy them brand new anymore. You can't get them digitally. So essentially all of these second-hand values are just going through the roof, and more so for the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. So I'm glad to have Godzilla for the PlayStation 3 and also have the Japanese version of it. They do have two different trophy lists, so there's two different platinums. The Japanese version's a lot more affordable, however it's still now going up in price a lot, mainly because this one has gone up so much. It's like over £200. So essentially people can't afford this, so they're now buying this. Although there's more of them, it's pushed the price of this one up as well. So I'm glad to have got those before the price really increased. And of course, being a trophy hunter and also a sort of collector, I want all the subsets. I got the PlayStation 4 version of it as well. Again, delisted. You can only get the physical version of it. It's got all the things in it. I only buy things if they complete with all the manuals. I don't buy stuff if they don't have manuals in. So of course all of these will always, whenever I show you a game, they'll always contain the manuals and everything for them. I just don't buy games unless they have the manuals in them. I don't go for mint, but I always want to make sure it's complete in the box. And now on to my last sort of a subset of games that I'm collecting for. And that subset is for Spider-Man. I've always loved Spider-Man. He's my favourite superhero. He's something that I've always loved ever since I was a kid. So I'm glad to be collecting the Spider-Man games, especially all the Sony PlayStation games. I haven't started looking into all the other systems because obviously there's games on other systems as well for Spider-Man. And as much as that would be the end goal eventually, to own every game on every system, that's a lot more collecting. So before I do that, I want to complete the Sony PlayStation subset of Spider-Man games. So starting off with the PS1 Spider-Man game and Spider-Man 2. Then moving on to PlayStation 2, we have the Ultimate Spider-Man. And there is a limited edition version of this, which is extremely expensive, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. We've got Spider-Man Friend or Foe, again available on other systems, but for now I'm just collecting for the PlayStation. Then you've got the Tobey Maguire films, so you've got the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2, and of course Spider-Man 3. So the trilogy of the Tobey Maguire movie games. Then you've got the Amazing Spider-Man on the Vita, and there's two versions or two stacks of it. The reason I've got both is, again, trophy hunting. They are two different platinums, so I decided to source both of them. So I've got both copies of the Spider-Man on the Vita. Then looking at the PlayStation 3, we have the Spider-Man 3, and there is another box variant of this which I don't currently have, and I will look to pick up if I can get it for a cheap, reasonable price. But Spider-Man games have all been going up, so we'll see. Don't necessarily want to buy the same game on the same console just for the different box art, but I might. We'll see. I'm a collector and a gamer, so who knows. And then we got the Amazing Spider-Man for the PlayStation 3, and essentially that is the same game as the one on the Vita, but obviously PlayStation 3, separate trophy list. Then we come to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 3, and then the three big hitters on the PlayStation 3, and that is Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, and Edge of Time. That just leaves PlayStation 4. And for PlayStation 4 is Amazing Spider-Man 2. Again, same game as on the PlayStation 3. And then you've got Marvel Spider-Man. And I've already showed you that I have that on the PlayStation 4, but with the slipcover. That's part of the slipcover collection as well. But obviously Miles Morales to go with it. Now, I don't actually have a physical disc drive for the PS5, and I haven't started collecting for the PS5 in a physical format. So Spider-Man 2 is one that's missing from my collection. I will add it at some point because I'm likely to get a PS5 at some point with a disc drive, and it's just a matter of time, but there's no rush on that. The price is going to come down before it ever goes up on Spider-Man 2, so I'll just pick that up at some point in the future. Also, I do want to get the Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man on the PS2, and I believe the only other one that I'm missing is the Web of Shadows. Has a PlayStation 2 version as well as the PlayStation 3. So again, probably end up picking that up at some point if I find it for a reasonable price, just for having the complete subset collection across all of Sony PlayStation. So I hope that answers your questions. They're all the games that I'm most proud of to currently own. I still have lots of games to go over in the background there, and I've still got some very rare games and some big hitters in there as well. But these are the ones that I've shown you today, are the ones I'm most proud of, or the ones I'm actively trying to sort of complete, because I want to feel proud to have the entire set. And now on to your second question. Dividend's second question is, if money was no object, what would be the items you'd most like to add to your physical game collection? So Dividend, if money was no object, there's a couple of big hitters I'd like to add, but realistically what I'd probably do if money was no object is start collecting for more systems and add libraries of games rather than individuals. And essentially the games that I'd like to get, or the collections I'd like to go for, would be the Atari 2600, or the VCS as we used to call it, the Intellivision, the Commodore Amiga, the Sega's Mega Drive, even the Nintendo systems. They're all systems that I don't collect for and I'd love to start collecting for, but obviously money prohibits me from going down the route of starting big collections on those particular systems. As far as sort of individual games, there are a few on the PlayStation 2, and there's some others, not big hitters, but a few other sort of individual games I'm looking for at the moment on the PlayStation 3. But if money was no object, I would actually, before going for any of those, add a real arcade cabinet to the game room. I would love to have a life-size, full-size arcade cabinet. Ideally, I'd like a Star Wars one, a Gauntlet one, a Bubble Bobble one, all my favourite ones, or a racing one. But realistically, you'd need one cabinet that could play everything. So, that would be probably the next big purchase that I would really love to go to add to the game room above any individual actual game rather than anything else, because I think that would give me a lot of pleasure and it would be a great addition to the games room. But you're talking a few £100 at least, so it's something I can't afford at the moment. When it comes to those sort of like big hitter games, my favourite genre is survival horror, as you probably know from one of my previous videos. And on the PlayStation 2, there's a couple of those sort of style of games that I really want to play more than anything else rather than own. But yes, as a collector, I'd love to own them. The first is probably the obvious one, being Kuon, Japanese horror game. I'd love to play that game, and I'd love to, it's not supposed to be very good, but I'd love to experience it. But being £600 odd, I'm not adding that to my collection anytime soon. So if money was no object, I'd get it tomorrow. But as money is, I can't see myself adding that to the collection. Also, the Rule of Rose. I know there's been a price drop on that recently due to a case being found in Italy. But again, you're talking going from 600 odd down to 300 odd. So it's still way out of my price range when it comes to having a individual game that I want to play. I wouldn't be looking for sealed copies. I'm not a sealed collector. Essentially, I want to play the games I buy. So I just want to get a good copy of it that I can play. But again, money puts me off from being able to do those at the moment. And another one on the PlayStation 2 is the Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, I showed you earlier I've got the standard version, but there is a special edition version, and that I would love to add to my collection because obviously it's part of completing the subset of all Spider-Man games on PlayStation. But it's extremely expensive and extremely hard to get a good complete in-box copy of. I've seen people on YouTube that have bought it and show it off, but quite often it's not complete. It may be in good condition, but usually it's missing the comic. And for me, I'm a completing box collector, so I wouldn't be spending hundreds of pounds on a game if it wasn't complete. I know other people have spent £100 on games and it's missing a manual, it's missing the actual comic. But for me, if I'm spending that money, it's got to be complete. So I would probably end up having to source it through America or through other areas where then there's import tax added as well. So it's not something that I'm going to be adding anytime soon, and it's only if I got extremely lucky where something very cheap was put on the internet in perfect condition and essentially they didn't know the value of it and I managed to pick it up that way, or if it was at a car boot sale, for example, where they don't know the value of it and you got lucky that way. But for me, I would want the perfect version of it. And if money was no object, I think the only way to really do that would be to buy multiple versions. So a comic with one and a bad box, so then you buy that one for the comic, and then one that's got a great sort of box but the manual's trashed, and then you get the manual from somewhere else and you Frankenstein the perfect copy and then sell off the other bits. But again, that's sort of not reality. That's the question being if money was no object, what would you do? And of course, that's a first world problem. It's not something that I'm looking to be doing, because ultimately I want to buy these games to the collection, but I'm not going to be spending money I don't have to do that sort of thing. When it comes to PS3, I'm lucky to have the really big hitters and the expensive ones in my collection already. Lucky that I got them before they became really expensive as well. However, the few sort of that I want to sort of hunt for at the moment are much more affordable, in that sort of £50 sort of price range rather than the hundreds of pounds. One is Painkiller Hell and Damnation. It's a boomer shooter style Doom game. I'd like to play that one. It looks really good. I'd like to have that in my collection. The Godfather Don's Edition is another one. I've got it on the PlayStation 2 and PSP. It's a great game. I'd love to have that PS3 Don's Edition of it. Again, it's not something I'm rushing to get, but if money was no object, I'd add it tomorrow. Then a game on the PS3 that I'd love to have is Tokyo Jungle. I've not played the game and I'd love to own it to be able to play it. It was never released in the UK, only got it in Japan, and so of course it's hard to get hold of it in a cheap sort of way. But ultimately I would definitely add that to the collection if money wasn't any issue. You can get that game in America on a collection of games called the Best of PlayStation Network Volume 1, and it comes with Sound Shapes, When Vikings Attack, and The Fat Princess. So again, I would have it on either way, individually or as part of that collection, because although I own the other three games digitally, I'd be buying it for Tokyo Jungle, so I'd have to be able to play that game. So I'm happy to add either of those to my collection if money was no object. And then the last one's probably Yakuza Dead Souls. I think that's the other sort of like mid-range price one that I'm actively keeping my eye out for in case I get a bargain somewhere. I just want to say a very big thank you to the gaming legends you can currently see on screen who are my Patreon supporters. Supporting the channel in any number of ways really does make a very big difference to a small channel like mine. So if you want to join Patreon and get access to my Discord community, then the link is in the description. But if that's not for you, then please consider dropping a comment. I love reading all the comments and reply to every single one. So let me know what games you're playing, what platinums or trophies you've been earning. Maybe let me know what Grail items that you're seeking to add to your collection, or what are the games you own that you're most proud of owning. Also, if you enjoyed the video, I appreciate a like, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. With all that being said, enjoy your games, take care, and look after yourselves.